Chapter 16 of Martha by the Day. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Martha by the Day by Julie M. Lippmann. Chapter 16. "Most like it's the spring," said Martha. It was Memorial Day. She and Miss Lang were at home, sitting together in Clare's pretty room, through the closed blinds of which the hot May sun set tempered shafts of light. Clare regarded Mrs. Slosson steadily for a moment, seeming to make some sort of mental calculation meanwhile. "Well, if it is the spring," she observed at length, with a whimsical little frown knitting her brows, "it's mighty forehanded, for it began to get in its fine work as far back as January. Ever since the time Sam went to the sanatorium, you've been losing flesh and colour, Martha, and I don't know what to do about it." "Do about it," repeated Mrs. Slosson. "Why, there ain't nothing to do about it, but let the good work go on. I'm in luck if it's true what you say. Believe me, there's lots of ladies in this town is starving their stomachs and everything else about 'em, and paying the doctors high besides, just to get delicate complected and airy-fairy figures, same's I'm doing, without turning a hand. Did you ever hear of bantin'? It's what the high-toned doctors recommend to thin-down ladies who have it so comfortable they're uncomfortable. The doctors prescribes exercise for 'em, and they take it, willing as doves, whereas if their husbands said, 'Say, old woman, while you're resting, just scrub down the cellar stairs good, that'll take the flesh off'n you quicker'n anything else I know,' they'd get a divorce from 'em, so quick you couldn't see 'em for dust. No, they'd not do anything so low as cellar stairs to save their lives. You couldn't please 'em better'n to see another woman down on her marrow bones working for 'em, but get down themselves. Not on your sweet life, they wouldn't. They'd rather bant. Bantin' sounds so much more stylisher than scrubbing." Clare smiled, but her eyes were very serious as she said, "All the same, Martha, I believe you are grieving your heart out for Sam. I've been watching you when you didn't know it, and I've seen the signs and the tokens. Your heart has the hunger ache in it." "Now, what do you think of that?" exclaimed Mrs. Slosson. "What do you know about hearts and hunger aches, I should like to know? You, an unmarried maiden girl without so much as the shadder or the skeleton of a beau, as far as I can see. What do you know about a woman hungering and craving for her own man? You have to have really felt them things yourself to know the signs of 'em in other folks." Clare's lip trembled, but she did not reply. When Martha spoke again, it was as if she had replied. "Oh, go way! You ain't never had a leanin' in any gentleman's direction, I'd be willin' to wager. And yet, I may as well tell you, you've been gettin' kinder white and scrawny yourself lately, begging your pardon for being so bold as notice it. Mind, I ain't the faintest notion of holding it against you. I know better than think you've been setting your affections on anybody. There's other things besides love gives you that tired feeling. What you need is something to brace you up and clear your blood like Hoods's sarsaparilla. Everybody feels the way you do this time of year. I heard a young saleslady, she wasn't a woman, mind you, she was a saleslady. I heard a young saleslady in the car the other morning complain. She was the real dressy kind, you know, with more'n a month's pay of hair boiling over on the back of her head in puffs and things. The gallus sort that, if you want to buy a yard of good flannin off her, will sass you up and down to your face, as fresh as if she was your own daughter. She was complaining the spring always made her feel so sorter, kinder, so awful languid." "Martha, dear," broke in Clare irrelevantly, "I wonder if you'd mind very much if I told Mr. Ronald the truth. He thinks you were an old family servant. He thinks you nursed me till I was able to walk." Martha considered. "Well, ain't that the truth?" she asked blandly. "I lived out from the time I was 12 years old. That was in Mrs. Granville's mother's house. When I was 16 I went to Mrs. Granville's. I was kitchen maid there first off, and gradually she promoted me till I was first housemaid. I never left her till I got married. If that don't make me an old family servant, I'd like to know. But he thinks you were an old family servant in our house. Well, bless your heart, that's his business, not mine. How can I help what he thinks? Didn't you tell him, Martha dear, that you nursed me till I was able to walk? Sure I did, and it's the living truth. What's the matter with that? Believe me, you wasn't good for more than a minute or two more on your legs when I got you into your bed that blessed night. You was clean bowled over, and you couldn't have walked another step if you'd been kilt for it. Didn't I nurse you them days you was in bed helpless as a baby? Didn't I nurse you till you could walk? Indeed you did, and that's precisely the point, said Claire. If Mrs. Sherman knew the truth, that I was poor, homeless, without a friend in New York, the night you picked me up on the street and carried me home and cared for me without knowing a thing about me, they wouldn't have taken me into their house and given me their little boy to train. And because they wouldn't, I want to tell them. I want to square myself. I ought to have told them long ago. You want 'em to bounce you, observed Mrs. Slosson calmly. Well, there's always more'n one way of looking at things. For instance, any good chambermaid with experience will tell you there's 3 ways of dusting. The first is, do it thorough, wiping the rungs of the chairs and the backs of the pictures and under the books on the table like. The second is, just sort of flashing your rag over the places it shows, and the third is, pull down the shades. They're all good enough ways in their own time and place, and you follow them according to your disposition, or if you're naturally particular, according to the other things you got to do in the time you got to do them in. Now, I'm particular. I'm the naturally thorough kind, but if I'm pressed and there's more important things up to me than the dusting, I give it a lick and a promise, same as the next one, and let it go at that, till the time comes I can do better. Life's too short to fuss and fidget your soul out over trifles. 'Tain't always what you want, but what you must. You sometimes got to cut short at one end so's you can piece out at another. And you can take it from me, you only pester folks by getting 'em down where they can't resist you, and forcing a lot of hard facts down their throats, which ain't the truth anyhow, and which they don't want to swaller on no account. What do they care about the machinery, so long as it turns out the thing they want? Believe me, it's foolishness to try to get 'em back into the works, poking about among the inside wheels and springs and so forth. You likely get knocked senseless by some big thingumbob you didn't know was there. Now, I know just exactly what's in your mind, but you're wrong. You think I told Mr. Ronald fibs. I didn't tell him fibs. I just give him the truth the way he'd take it. Like you give people castor oil that's too dainty to gallop it down straight. Some likes it in lemon and some in globules, but it's castor oil all the same. He wanted to know the truth about you, and I let him have it. The truth being, you're as fine a lady as any in the land. If I'd happened to live in Grand Rapids at the time, I'd most likely have lived out with your grandmother and been an old family servant in your house like I was at Mrs. Granville's, and I certainly would have nursed you if I'd had the chance. 'Twas just a case of happen so, my not having it. The right kind of folks here in New York is mighty squeamish about strangers. They want recommendations. They want 'em because they want to be sure the ones they engage is okay. That's all recommendations is for, ain't it? Now, I knew the minute I clapped eye to you that, as I say, you was a grand lady as any in the land. And that being the case, what was the use of fretting 'cause I hadn't more than your say-so to prove it? But if I'd pulled a long face to Mrs. Sherman and told her, hesitating like and nervous, about what took place that night, she not having much experience of human nature, only the other kind that's more common here in New York City, she'd have hemmed and hawed and thought she'd better not try it, seeing Radcliffe is such a angel child and not to be trained except by a A1 lady. But the truth, persisted Claire. I tell the truth, Mrs. Slosson returned with quiet dignity. I only don't waste time on trifles. It is not wasting time on trifles to be exact and accurate. An architect building a house must make every little detail true, else when the house goes up it won't stand. Don't he have to reckon nothing on the give or not give of the things he's dealing with?" demanded Martha. "I'm only a ignorant woman, and I ask for information. When you're dressmaking you have to allow for the seams, and when you're making, well, other things, you have to do the same thing, only spelled a little different. You have to allow for the seams. Most folks don't do it, and that's where a lot of trouble comes in, or so it appears to me." Claire twisted her ring in silence, gazing down at it the while as if the operation was, of all others, the most important and absorbing. "We may not agree, Martha dear," she said at last, "but anyway I know you're good, and I wouldn't hurt your feelings for the world." "Sure, I know you wouldn't, and they ain't hurt, not in the least. You got one kind of conscience, and I got another, that's all. Consciences is like hats. One that suits one party would make another look like a guy. You got to have your own style. You got to know what's best for you, and then stick to it." "And you won't object if I tell Mr. Ronald?" "Object? Certainly not. Tell him anything you like. I always was fond of Mr. Ronald myself. I never thought he was as hard and stern with the body as some thinks. Some thinks he's as hard as nails, but—" "Oh, I'm sure he's not," cried Claire with unexpected loyalty. "His manner may seem a little cold and proud sometimes, but I know he's very kind and generous." "Certainly, so do I know it," said Mrs. Slosson. "I don't say I mayn't be mistaken, but I have the highest opinion of Mr. Ronald. I think you could trust him to do the square thing, no matter what, and if he was kinder harsh doing it, it's only because he expects a body to be perfect like he is himself." In the next room Sabina was shouting at the top of her lungs, "Come back to earing, my vornean, my vornean." "Ain't it a caution what lungs that child has, considering?" Martha reflected. "Just hear her holler. She'd wake the dead. I wonder if she's trying to beat that out of whooping it up outside. Have you ever noticed them autos nowadays? Some of them has such croupy coughs. Before I know it, I'm hunting for a flannan and an embrocation. Excuse me a minute while I go answer the bell." A second later she returned. A step in advance of her was Mr. Ronald. "I am lucky to find you at home, Martha," were the first words Claire heard him say. Martha, by dint of a little unobservable manoeuvring, managed to superimpose her substantial shadow upon Claire's frail one. "Yes, sir, when I get a day to lay off in, you couldn't move me out of the house with a derrick," she announced. "Miss Lang's here too. Being so dim and coming in out of the sunlight, perhaps you don't make out to see her. She ain't had time to pull herself together," Mrs. Slosson inwardly noted. "But Lord, I couldn't stand in front of her forever, and even if a girl is dead in love with a man, more power to her. That's no reason she should go to the other extreme to hide it, and pretend she's a cold storage warranted to freeze 'em stiff like the artificial ice they're making these days in the good old summer-time." The first cold greetings over, Claire started to retreat in the direction of the door. "Excuse me, please. I promised Francie. She's expecting me. She's waiting." "Pshaw, now, let her wait," said Martha. "Don't let me detain Miss Lang if she wishes to go," interposed Mr. Ronald. "My business is really with you, Martha." "Thank you, sir, but I'd like Miss Lang to stay by all the same. That is, if you don't object." "As a witness? You think I need watching, eh?" "I think it does a body good to watch you, sir." "I didn't know before you were a flatterer, Martha, but I see you're a lineal descendant of the Blarney Stone." Claire felt herself utterly ignored. She tried again to slip away, but Martha's strong hand detained her, bore her down into the place she had just vacated. "How is Francie?" inquired Mr. Ronald, taking the chair Mrs. Slosson placed for him. fine, thank you, sir. The doctor says they never see a child get well so fast. She's grown so fat and big there ain't a thing belongs to her will fit her any longer. They're all shorter, and she has to go wax with Cora on her clothes. Perhaps she'd enjoy a little run out into the country this afternoon in my car. The other children, too, and possibly Miss Lang. I'm sure they'd all thank you kindly, sir, began Martha, when— I'm sorry, said Claire coldly. I can't go. Mr. Ronald did not urge her. It is early. We have plenty of time to discuss the ride later, he observed quietly. Meanwhile, what I have in mind, Martha, is this. Mr. Slosson has been at the sanatorium now for— Going on 5 months, said Martha. And the doctors think him improved? Well, on the whole, yes, sir. His one lung— sounds kinder Chinesey, don't it? His one lung ain't no worse. It's better, some. Only he keeps losing flesh, and that puzzles him. Do you think he's contented there? He says he is. He says it's a grand place, and they're all as good to him as if he was the King of Harlem. You've seen to that, sir, he says. And Sammy's always patient, no matter what comes. But only just it ain't home, you know, sir. I see. And the doctors think he ought to stay up there, not return home? Here, I mean. That's what they say. Have you the means to keep him at the sanatorium over the 5 months we settled for in January? No, sir. That is not yet. Would you like to borrow enough money to see him through the rest of the year? Martha deliberated. I may have to, sir, she said at last with a visible effort, but I don't like to borrow. I notice when folks gets the borrowing habit, they're slow paying back, and then you don't get thanks for a gift, or you don't get credit for a loan. This time it was Mr. Ronald who seemed to be considering. Right, he announced presently. I notice you go into things rather deep, Martha. Mrs. Slosson smiled. Well, when things is deep, that's the way you got to go into them. What's on your plate you got to chew, and if you don't like it, you can lump it, and if you don't like to lump it, you can cut it up finer. But there it is, and there it stays till you swaller it somehow. Do you enjoy or resent the good things that are or seem to be heaped on other people's plates? Why, yes, I certainly enjoy them, but after all, the things taste best that we're eating ourselves, don't they? And if I had money enough like some, so as I didn't have to borrow to see my man through, why, I don't go behind the door to say I'd be glad and grateful. Would you take the money as a gift, Martha? You done far more than your share already, sir. Then, if you won't take it, and you'd rather not borrow, we must find another way. A rather good idea occurred to me last night. I've an uncommonly nice old place up in New Hampshire, in the mountains. It was my father's and my grandfather's. It's been closed for many years, and I haven't given it a thought, except when the tax bills came due, or the caretaker sent in his account. It's so far away my sister won't live there, and it's too big and formidable for one lone man to summer in by himself. Now, why wouldn't it be a capital idea for you to pack up your goods and chattels here, and take your family right up there and make that your home? The lodge is comfortable and roomy, and I don't see why Mr. Slosson couldn't recover there as well, if not better, than where he is. I'd like to put the place in order, make some improvements, do a little remodelling. I need a trusty man to oversee the labourers, and keep an eye and close tab on the workmen I send up from town. If Mr. Slosson would act as superintendent for me, I'd pay him what such a position is worth, and you would have your house, fuel, and vegetables free. Don't try to answer now. You'd be foolish to make a decision in a hurry that you might regret later. Write to your husband, talk it over with him. He might prefer to choose a job for himself, and remember, it's way out in the country. The children would have to walk some distance to school. Give 'em exercise, long of their exercises, said Martha. The church in the village is certainly 3 miles off." "My husband don't go to church as regular as I might wish," Mrs. Slosson observed. "I tell him the reason men don't be going to church so much these days is for fear they might hear something they believe. You would find country life tame, perhaps, after the city. Well, the city life ain't been that wild for me that I'd miss the dizzy whirl, and anyhow we'd be together," Martha said. "We'd be together, maybe, come our wedding day, the 4th of July. We never been apart once on that day, all the 15 years we've been married," she mused. But come winter, and Miss Sherman opens her house again, and wants Miss Clare back, who's going to look out for her?" "Why, as to that," said Mr. Ronald, so vaguely it sounded almost supercilious to Clare. In an instant her pride rose in revolt, rebelling against the notion he might have that she could possibly put forth any claim upon his consideration. "Oh, please, please don't think of me, Martha," she cried vehemently. "I have entirely other plans. You mustn't give me or my affairs a thought in settling your own. You must do what's best for you. You mustn't count for or on me in the least. I have not told you before, but I've made up my mind I must resign my position at Mrs. Sherman's anyway. I'll write her at once. I'll tell her myself, of course, but I tell you now to show that you mustn't have me in mind at all in making your plans." Martha's low-pitched voice fell upon Clare's tense, nervous one with soothing calmness. "Certainly not, Miss Clare," she said. "And you'll write to your husband and report to him what I propose?" suggested Mr. Ronald, as if over Clare's head. "Sure I will, sir." "And if he likes the idea, my secretary will discuss the details with him later. Wages, duties, all the details." "Yes, sir." "And you may tell the children I'll leave orders that the car be sent for them some other day. I find it's not convenient, after all, for me to take them myself this afternoon. I spoke too fast in proposing it. But they'll not be disappointed. Mr. Blennerhassett will see to that. I leave town tonight to be gone, well, indefinitely. In any case, until well on into the autumn or winter. Any letter you may direct to me, care of Mr. Blennerhassett at the office, will be attended to at once. Goodbye, Martha. Miss Lang." He was gone. When the car had shot out of sound and sight, Martha withdrew from the window, from behind the blinds of which she had been peering eagerly. "He certainly is a little woolly wonder," meaning no offence, she observed with a deep-drawn sigh. "Yes, Mr. Ronald is as good as they make 'em, and don't you forget it." She seated herself opposite Clare, drawing her chair quite close. "Pity you and him is so on the outs. I'm not speaking of him much, but anybody with half an eye can see you got a regular hate on him. Anyone can see that." A moment of silence, and then Clare flung herself sobbing and quivering across Martha's lap, ready to receive her. "Oh, Martha," she choked. End of chapter 16. Read by Sandra.